Hey, what's up guys? Joseph here for another top 10. This one is going to be my top 10 Pixar movies. Okay, so before I get into it, this list was right up there with the Disney list with the difficulty creating this one. There's like 15 Pixar movies in total right now. 16 coming out. 16th is coming out, I think, next Friday. The Good Dinosaur looks okay. Not anticipating it, but it looks okay. But 15 in total, coming up with 16. Really, only one. Literally, only one was terrible. Cars 2. I watched Brave the first time, didn't like it. The second time I watched it, I lowered my expectations of the Pixar magic, and I actually enjoyed Brave the second time. But yeah, that's a tough list to come up with, but I came up with it. Before I get into it, while I'm thinking about it, I'm taking suggestions of top 10s for the month of December, so if you got any, message me and I'll turn them into a video. That being said, number 10 is Ratatouille. Ratatouille follows the story of Remy, a rat who wants to become a chef but can't because of it's not the popular decision, so to speak. I'm gonna mess up his name. Linguini, the chef. I don't want to call him stupid, but he's not the clumsy. That's the best word to describe him. Just a clumsy chef, can't do anything really right. Like for about over half the movie, he couldn't do anything. But like always, at the very end, he actually makes the dish and everything. Hell, with the help of Remy. But it basically tells a story of follow your dreams and don't let the popular decision, impact your choices. So with that, I gotta put it on the list. Just that message alone. Number 9 is A Bug's Life. Now, there's not much I can say about Bug's Life without giving spoilers. Well, like Linguini, however you say his name in Ratatouille, Flick, clumsy ant, messes up everything. The ants come to terms with the grasshoppers to get protection from them in exchange for giving food to the grasshoppers. Flick messes up the plan, makes the leaf where they put the food on the offering plate. Leaf serves as offering plate in the movie. But Flick pushes the leaf down accidentally, and yeah, he ruins the plan, and they gotta fight the grasshoppers, and Flick talks the ant colony into fighting the grasshoppers to get freedom, so to speak. I'm not really sure there's a message, but it's a good movie. Underrated. Absolutely underrated. Number 8 is WALL-E. WALL-E, I'm gonna get a whole lot of heat for this. I didn't like one of the another movies that I watched the first time. Didn't like it the first time. Second time I watched it, I lowered the expectations like I did with Brave, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. But Wally's basically a robot who cleans up after the Earth. Only robot in existence on Earth. That some apocalyptic event happened to Earth, like a nuke exploded or something. I didn't really look into it, what happened. But something happened. Earth couldn't hold live. People left Earth to go to some ship. I can't think of the name of it. But they leave Earth, go to the spaceship, and while they're in the spaceship, Wally, which I forget what the acronym stands for, Wally, a robot, cleans up after Earth, tries to make it able to preserve life and everything. Eventually, the humans send down the robot Eve, and they have Wally and Eve have some, I'll just say, funny interactions with each other, especially Wally. Yeah, it's more of a comedy. Like the first, I'd say about 30 to 35 minutes, about a comedy between them two. But in the end, basically Wally goes to save Eve, and they run into some evil robots, and that's basically the story. That being said, my number 7 is another movie that this one took me a couple of times to actually like it. And the reason, because I think the first, I'd say about 10 minutes of the movie, it was perfect. That would have been a perfect movie in and of itself. Up. That first 10 minutes could have served as a movie by itself. And undoubtedly, they had enough story to do and everything. But after that 10 minutes was up, the Ellie and the Carl romance story was up, it dropped for me for the first couple of times I watched it anyways. I swear, I honestly did not like this movie the first time. The first couple of times I watched it, I really didn't. I liked it the first 10 minutes of it. After that, those first couple of times, it lost me. I'm sorry. Me personally, it didn't really impact me as usual Pixar movies do. But watched it again recently, and I actually loved it. Without giving too much away, because that first 10 minutes, it was, whew, man. I can't really say anything without giving too much away. Up is number 7. I'm on my phone, by the way. It's on my phone. Sorry. Number 6 is Toy Story 2. Now, like I mentioned, and I believe it's my top 10 movie franchises. Um, that Toy Story is one of my favorite franchises. Really the only franchise that has been good all the way through. Hopefully, it'll continue to do that with a fourth one, but I doubt it. But we'll see. Toy Story 2 is my number six. Honestly, probably the weakest of the Toy Stories, but still great movie. Not disputing that. Toy Toy Story is one of my favorites. Um, Probably, uh, I'd say the darkest of the three. Yeah, I'd probably say the Toy Story 2 is the darkest of the three. Um, it. I watched it again recently for this list for the first time in 10 years, and I did not realize how many Star Wars references there were in this movie. Um, Zurg saying "I'm your father" to Buzz, the opening sequence, the opening music reminiscent of Star Wars. And there was one more I can't think of it right at the top of my head. But there's some influences of Star Wars in the movie. Um, but this one, it introduced Jesse, Bullseye. I believe that's it to the rest of the gang. Stinky Pete, the prospector, didn't really. He was only in the movie. I want to say Jesse and Bullseye were the only two that I introduced that stayed around for the third one that I can think of. Oh, but it introduced them. Joan Rivers as Jesse, and I guess nobody as Bullseye. Um, but Woody and company go. Woody gets kidnapped by Owl, I believe his name was, and Buzz, the rest of the gang, goes to rescue him, and Woody finds out that he used to be a celebrity for somewhere. Um, sorry. But he finds out he's a celebrity, and he if suddenly doesn't want to go back to Andy. He wants to stay where he's this celebrity figure, so to speak, and he realizes basically he's like Buzz was an action figure, so to speak. And he eventually goes back and with Jesse and Bullseye, and rest is history. Number 5 is Monsters Inc. Now, this one, there's not much you can say. Mike Wazowski, James P. Sullivan are a monster duo who basically scared children for a living. That's what that's their job. Well, James is Mike's kind of like his manager, I guess, so to speak. But they encounter in their adventure, they encounter a human girl, which in the monster world is basically prohibited. You can't have any interactions with humans unless you're scaring them. But they pick up a girl, and she gets kidnapped by the evil Randall. And you guys, one thing I'm scared of are spiders. And probably the biggest reason why was because of this movie. I watched this movie when I was, however old I was when this movie came out. I watched in the movie theaters. So I think it's about 5, 6 years old, somewhere around there. And water noose, the spider, basically. As a kid, that he was creepy. Just the freaking leg. Oh man, I swear these memories are coming back to me when I'm doing these videos. If you guys can tell, these memories are coming back. But Monsters Inc. is my number 5. Number 4 is a movie that I really, really hope the sequel is good. Well, 2 of the movies on this list that I hope the sequel's good. Well, Incredibles is my number 4. It's basically a family of superheroes and Sam Jackson. Sam Jackson, really. Anyways, group of superheroes, family superheroes, that encounter a old friend, the dad's old friend, in Syndrome. Syndrome was, okay, the family superheroes, Mr. Incredible is the dad. His power is strength. The mom, Elastigirl, flexibility is her superpower. The girl is Violet, superpower, invisibility. Dash is the fast one. And the son, the oldest son. And the one they barely did anything with is Jack, the baby, which I don't know what was his power, like turning into a devil. That's really the only thing he did in this movie, other than puke and spit out vomit, and that's really all he did was turn into that demon at the end. Well, spoiler alert. But the dads had a fan. The dad had a fan, Mr. Incredible, and the fan was Syndrome. Like, that was like his. Syndrome thought he was like his sidekick, but no, he. Oh, that was pretty funny. No, he wasn't. But I really hope that the second one's at least decent. I don't want it to be terrible. And speaking of sequels that I hope are gonna be good, number 3 is Finding Nemo. Now, Finding Nemo follows the story of a clownfish, Marlin, whose son, Nemo, gets kidnapped by a group of scuba divers, and on the way to find his son, Marlin encounters a whole lot of different sea creatures. He encounters Bruce and the 2 other sharks. I don't even think it said their names. If it did, I didn't catch them. But Bruce and the 2 sharks, which, by the way, is one of the best scenes in the movie. Crush and Squirt, I believe, was the name of the small one. The sea turtles. Another one of the best scenes in the movie. The jellyfish, and probably the best part about the entire movie. The thing that made the movie great, in my opinion, anyways. Ellen DeGeneres is Dory. Now I'll get into more of her a little later on down the road, but Dory was probably the I'll probably say the best character in the whole movie. Just it's oh man, I just remember some of these stupid parts in the movie. But Dory's probably the best character in the movie. I'll get into more of Ellen DeGeneres later, but like The Incredibles, I really, really hope that they don't screw that Finding Dory up. Will it be as good as Finding Nemo? Doubt it. I doubt it. But I said that about one of these others on this list, so we'll see. But number 2 is Toy Story, the first one. Now, Toy Story. If you guys have never seen Toy Story, if you guys have never seen any of these movies on this list, if you have to pick one of these movies, pick Toy Stories. The Toy Story movies. All 3 of them. Those 3, words can't describe how great them movies are together. And as one movie, one separate movie. The first one can stand on its own because it's the first one, but the second 2, they can't. I watched them back. They can't stand on their own. You have to watch the first one to get any one of them. But anyways, Toy Story. Woody. I'll get into more of I'm gonna do a top 10 voiceovers in Pixar movies and Disney. Most of those would probably be dominated by Toy Story. There are so many great ones that I can make a whole 30-minute video on. This video is probably gonna be close to there, but gotta keep it as short as possible. But Toy Story is probably, it rivals The Lion King as my favorite animated movie. All 3 of them. Well, the first, like I said, I didn't really care for the second one, but it's still good. But the first one and the third one are awesome. Rivals The Lion King as my favorite. That being said, I already said my number 1 is Toy Story 3. Now, the movie that made me and several other people I know, several other people I've read reviews online, several other people I've seen reviews of online, this movie, Toy Story 3, made several people across the world cry like babies. The ending, the teased ending, and the, how do I want to put it, where I'm trying to stay away from spoilers. The scene where you thought the movie was going to end one way, but something happens and it goes a different way. And hopefully, if you guys have seen the Toy Story 3, you'll know what I'm trying to get at. If you don't, try to. Because I really did think it was going to end the way they were teasing it. But it didn't. The real ending, where Andy grows up, cried. Both those parts got me more than, I'll probably say more than any of these movies on this list. More than most of the movies on my Disney lists. Probably Toy Story 3. No, I'll do a video on that. But yeah, that's my list. This video is already gonna be about over 30 minutes. Some honorable mentions. Monsters University. It was okay, not as good as Monsters Inc., but it was enjoyable. Cars. I actually liked the first one. I did. And the most recent, Inside Out. Now, Inside Out, the hype is what killed me. My expectations were skyrocketed to the top. Me personally, I was let down. Probably the best thing about the movie was, I forget the actor, Lewis Black as Anger. Probably the best part about the movie, undoubtedly. But that's my list. What are yours? If you want to help support the channel, like and subscribe. Like me on Facebook at JMash97. Follow me on Twitter at JMash97. The links will be in the description below. And I will see you on the next one. Mash out.